Hey, you. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. Let me ask you a question. What's a Demoman's favorite food? Well, it's spam. My name is Exony, and I want to welcome you to another installment of Know the Numbers. I know, it's been a while. This time, we will be going over everything Demoman, from maximum health, to his grenade launcher's fuse times, to the inner workings of his Stickybomb Launcher. If you were looking for anything specific, well, there isn't annotations on screen anymore because YouTube did away with those, but there are timestamps in the description that will take you to anything Demoman you could be looking for. So let's not waste any more time and get into it. Let's start by talking about the Demoman himself. A crazed demolitions master hailing from Ullapool, Scotland, he has a base health pool of 175 health and can be overhealed to 260 health with the Medigun, Kritzkrieg, and the Vaccinator, while the Quick Fix will only overheal him to 220 health. Unlike most of the other classes, Demoman has a lot of variables when it comes to his health pools, so I'm just going to say his maximum health, but you can still see the max overheal values on the screen. A Demoman with the Eyelander has 25 less health, bringing him down to 150, but as the Demoman gains heads, his health increases by 15 per head. So with one head, he'll have 165 health, 2 heads gives him 180, 3 heads is 195, and finally, at 4 heads and beyond, the Demoman will have 210 maximum health. Now if this Demoman also equips the Booties, it's a whole new ballgame. The Booties give the Demoman an extra 25 health, so just by equipping them, the Demoman will have 200 maximum health. The Booties and the Eyelander's health gain and loss even each other out at 0 heads, which means the Demoman will have 175 health. With 1 head in the Booties, the Demoman has a max health of 190, 2 heads gives him 205 health, 3 heads plus Booties means 220 health, and finally the Demoman's highest maximum health is with the Booties and 4 plus heads, giving him a whopping 235 health. Now we get to the real nightmare, Demoman's speed. Let's clear off the whiteboard here real quick, because we're going to need all of this space. The Demoman has a base speed of 93%, where the movement speed of Pyro, Sniper, and Engineer are 100%. 93% is the same as 280 hammer units per second, or roughly 11.9 miles per hour. For convenience sake, we're just going to be sticking to percents here. While moving backwards, he has a speed of 84%, while crouched 31%, and while swimming 75%. Because there are going to be a lot of different speeds here, I'm just going to tell you the forward movement speeds. The backwards, crouched, and swimming speeds will all be displayed on the screen, but I just won't be saying them for the convenience of time. By simply equipping the Booties along with a shield, the Demoman's speed is increased to 103%. By equipping the Eyelander, you gain no passive buff to speed, but as soon as you gain a single head, your speed is increased to 101%. 2 heads brings you up to 108%, 3 heads is at 116, and finally at 4 heads, you'll be moving at 123%. Then if you equip the Booties along with the Eyelander, we get a whole new set of speeds. At 1 head, you'll be moving at 111%, 2 heads puts you at 119%, 3 heads brings it up to 127%, and finally, 4 or more heads with Booties and a shield brings the Demoman up to 136% movement speed. Another speed affecting melee is the Scotsman Skullcutter, which reduces the Demoman speed down to 79%, but if equipped with a shield and Booties, you're only brought down to 87%. Finally, while charging, the Demoman moves at 250% movement speed. This is roughly equivalent to 32 miles per hour. While charging with the Scotsman Skullcutter though, you only move at 213%, which can be offset by also wearing Booties, only lowering your speed to 234% while charging. Now that we're done with the nightmare that is the Demoman's different speeds, we can get into the Demoman's arsenal, starting with his primary weapons, all of which you can see on screen right now. If you're looking for any one weapon in particular, timestamps are in the description so you can skip past weapons you don't necessarily care about, but if you're here to learn anything and everything you can about this class, then take a seat and we'll get started. To start things off, we have the Demoman's bread and butter, the grenade launcher. It's a multiple round, break action grenade launcher with adjustable sights, a wooden stock and foregrip that shoots pill-shaped grenades at 1,216 hammer units per second. Despite its 6 chambers, it only loads 4 shots at once and stores 16 ammo in reserve. The grenades fired explode on impact if they come in contact with an enemy player or building before hitting any other surfaces. On direct hits, the grenades deal 100 damage to the target, a critical hit will deal 300 damage, and a mini crit will deal 135. If the grenade does not land directly, it will roll on the ground for its remaining fuse time and can deal a maximum of 60 damage if the enemy player is right on top of it when it detonates. A critical roller will deal a maximum of 180 damage, and a mini crit will deal 81 damage. Now if you're not the best at aiming, don't worry, the grenade launcher has splash damage as well. The grenades have a splash radius of 9.1 feet or 146 hammer units, where the damage is reduced by 1% per 2.88 hammer units away from the center of the explosion. The maximum reduction is 50% at the very edge of this explosion radius. If you're caught within your own explosions, you will take 38 to 73 damage as well. Finally, we have the function times. The grenades have a fuse time of about 2.3 seconds after it's been fired, an interval of 0.6 seconds in between shots, a first reload speed of 1.2 seconds, with all consecutive reloads taking 0.6 seconds, making it much more effective to reload multiple rounds at a time. Now it's time to lock and load for this next Demoman primary, the Loch-n-Load. The Loch-n-Load is a double-barreled break-action grenade launcher that has the incredible ability to load 3 shots into a 2-barreled gun. It stores 16 shots in reserve and fires grenades at 1,513 hammer units per second. The Loch-n-Load deals the same damage as the grenade launcher on direct hits, 100 base damage, 300 damage on a critical, and 135 damage on mini crits. Its damage against buildings, however, is increased by 20%, raising it to 120 damage, making it an excellent alternative for destroying buildings. You will have to give up rollers, as grenades that touch the ground disappear. The grenades fired from the Loch-n-Load have a 25% smaller explosion radius, making the minimum splash radius 6.8 feet or 109 hammer units. The damage is reduced by 1% for every 2.16 hammer units away from the center of the explosion, with a maximum damage reduction of 50% at the edges of the explosion. If the player is caught within his own explosion, he'll take 38 to 73 self-damage depending on how far away you are from the center. Finally, we have the function times, which, surprise surprise, are the same as the grenade launchers: a 2.3 second fuse time, a 0.6 second attack interval, and a 1.24 second reload speed, with all consecutive reloads taking 0.6 seconds. Now we move on to the most interesting demo primary, the loose cannon. The loose cannon is a pirate-styled cannon with a stock and sight near the front of the barrel, loading 4 cannonballs at a time and storing 16 in reserve. While the loose cannon may say it has a 20% faster projectile speed, this is actually not true. Because of the way the cannonballs interact with the source engine when compared to grenades, it actually moves slightly slower than the grenade launcher's projectile. The cannonballs also knock players around who are hit by them, similar to the air blast. Hitting an enemy player in the feet will send them flying further, while hitting them in the head will just kinda push them back a little bit. Unlike other grenade launchers, the loose cannon's cannonballs do not explode on impact, instead deal impact damage with anything they come into contact with, dealing 50 damage at close range and a minimum of 25 impact damage at longer ranges. And coincidentally enough, the cannonball's critical damage on direct hits is also based on distance, dealing up to a maximum of 150 damage at close range and a minimum of 75 damage at longer ranges. Same thing goes for mini crits, dealing from 33 to 67 damage depending on range. When the cannonball runs its fuse, it'll explode, dealing a maximum of 60 splash damage if the target is within the center of the explosion. Multiplied by 3 gives us a critical value of 180 damage, and a 35% increased mini crit gives us 81 maximum explosion damage. One major thing to note about the loose cannon's damage is that if the enemy is hit by the cannonball and within half a second are also hit by the explosion, will result in a double donk, making the explosion deal mini crits instead of just being normal damage, and results in a special sound and visual cue playing and appearing over the victim's head. Onto the cannon's splash damage. Its minimum splash radius is the same as the stock grenade launcher's 9.1 feet or 146 hammer units, and damage reduction reduces 1% per 2.88 hammer units to a maximum of 50% reduction at the edges of the explosion. The cannon has 2 self-damages. The normal one, taken from cannonballs you are caught within the explosion of, can deal from 38 to 73 damage, but if you hold down the fuse instead of firing, you can take 50 damage to do a powerful cannon jump, much like overloading the beggar's bazooka. Function times are generally the same as the stock grenade launcher, with one change: a 1 second fuse time instead of the normal 2.3. The attack interval is still 0.6 seconds in between attacks, and the first reload speed is 1.24 seconds, with all consecutive reloads taking only 0.6 seconds. My personal favorite primary weapon for Demoman is a bit boring, as this quad-barreled grenade launcher doesn't really change a whole lot from the grenade launcher formula. The Iron Bomber loads 4 shots and stores 16 ammo in reserve. Its damage is all the same as well, dealing 100 damage on direct hits, 300 damage if that direct hit was a crit, or 135 damage if that direct hit was a mini crit. Its rollers can deal a maximum of 60 damage, a crit roller can deal 180 damage, and a mini crit roller can deal 81. An important thing to note about the rollers is that they don't roll very much, making it much easier to connect them, and they can almost be used like short fused stickies. While its rollers may not roll, it has a slightly smaller explosion radius of 7.8 feet when compared to the grenade launcher's 9.1 foot radius. Its damage falls off slightly faster as well, 1% at 2.44 hammer units away from the center, and the self-damage taken is still the same, however, dealing 38 to 73 damage to yourself if you are caught within your own blast. Finally, the function times. The Iron Bomber has a 30% shorter fuse than your average grenade launcher, giving them a fuse time of about 1.6 seconds, but it still shares the grenade launcher's attack interval of 0.6 seconds in between shots and first reload speed of 1.24 seconds, with all consecutive reloads taking 0.6 seconds. Now, if you're the type of Demoman who cares about fashion or running at people with a sword and no long-range alternatives, the Alibaba's Wee Booties are for you. Without a shield equipped, this pair of steel-pointed boots only gives you the sole benefit of 25 health and fills your primary slot. I know, right? What a deal. If you equip the Booties with a shield equipped in your secondary slot, however, they also give the wearer a 200% increase in their turning control, which only affects you if you're using the Chargin Targe or the Splendid Screen. Every melee kill will give you 25% of your charge meter back, and finally a 10% movement speed buff as the piece de resistance of these Booties. And last but not least, we have the Base Jumper. This simple parachuting backpack deploys a chute when you press your jump button while airborne that will slow your vertical descent to 112 hammer units, but still allows for a horizontal speed gain and normal strafing. This can be activated and deactivated as much as you want, and you can still attack with any secondary or melee weapons as normal with the parachute deployed. That's it for the primaries, which means we're moving on to the secondary weapons, all of which you can see on your screen right now. Like before, if you're looking for anything in particular, there are timestamps in the description that can take you to any item you're looking for. Fair warning, I'll be spending a bit more time in the Stickybomb Launcher than in the Scottish Resistance or the Quickiebomb Launcher, because I'll be going into some of its smaller intricacies, which still exist within the other two launchers, but I don't want to bog down the video describing the same minute mechanic 3 times. With that little warning out of the way, let's jump into the Demoman's secondary weapons. Starting it off strong with the Demoman's most powerful all-purpose tool, the Stickybomb Launcher. It is a modified grenade launcher with a large drum magazine, an underbarreled foregrip, and a wide barrel. It fires sticky bombs at 805 hammer units per second, but can be charged for a maximum of 4 seconds to increase its speed to 230% faster than an uncharged sticky. It loads 8 bombs at a time and stores 24 ammo in reserve. Stickies will lie on the ground or stick to surfaces until detonated by pressing your alternate fire key. You can have up to 8 sticky bombs out at a time, and the oldest bomb will detonate when the player tries to deploy a 9th bomb. Moving on to damage, sticky bombs have a ramp up that functions much like a scattergun or shotguns, dealing more damage the closer you are to a target and less damage at longer distances. At maximum ramp up, a sticky bomb can deal up to 144 damage at the center of its explosion, and at maximum fall off, sticky bombs deal 60 damage at their center. After a bomb has been out for 5 seconds, it is no longer affected by range and deals a base damage of 120 damage regardless of where it is. Critical hits and mini crits are immune to this damage ramp up and fall off, with a crit dealing 355 damage at center, a minimum of 180 at its outer edges, and a mini crit dealing 165 damage and 81 at its edges. Splash damage wise, the radius is the same as a rocket's at 9.1 feet or 146 hammer units, and they lose 1% of their damage per 2.92 hammer units away from the center of the explosion the target is, to a minimum of 50% of the original damage. When a sticky is airborne, it has a 15% smaller explosion radius, which is about 124 hammer units, at the base arm time. This ramps back up to normal splash radius over 2 seconds or as soon as the sticky sticks to a surface. This mixed with the long range damage fall off discourages most Demomen from sticky sniping or using the sticky bombs at long ranges. If you are caught within your own explosion, you will take 45 to 114 self damage. This can be used to sticky jump and gain incredible mobility in exchange for health. Finally, we have function times. To start, sticky bombs have a 0.7 second activation time. This is the earliest a sticky can be primed, but the sticky itself takes an extra 0.135 seconds to actually detonate. You can charge a single sticky for 4 seconds to increase its speed by 230%. It has an attack interval of 0.6 seconds in between shots, a first reload speed of 1.09 seconds, with all consecutive reloads taking 0.67 seconds. One last thing to note about sticky bombs is that they detonate in the order that you laid them, one tick after the other, so they don't actually detonate all at once like it might seem, with the first one you laid down detonating first, and the last one you laid down detonating last. Like I said, this is just a bit of trivia, it's not really important, but it's something that's nice to know. Moving along, while the Stickybomb Launcher may be the Demoman's all-purpose tool for all situations, the Scottish Resistance is a more defense-oriented launcher. This modified sticky launcher is extremely similar to the normal sticky launcher, albeit a few differences. It loads 8 stickies at once, but stores 36 in reserve and can have up to a total of 14 stickies out at once. Damage wise, it's all the same. 144 damage at its maximum ramp up, 60 damage at its maximum fall off. After 5 seconds, no matter what the distance is, it will deal 120 damage at the center of its explosion. Critical hits and mini crits are not affected by this damage ramp up or fall off, with crits dealing a maximum of 355 damage and mini crits dealing 165 damage at the center of their explosion. Splash damage is all the same as well, with a minimum radius of 9.1 feet or 146 hammer units, with a damage reduction of 1% for every 2.92 hammer units away from the center of the explosion. And self-damage wise, you will take 45 to 114 damage from your own explosions if you're caught within it. Then we get to the function times. The Scottish resistance bombs take much longer to activate than normal sticky bombs, taking 1.72 seconds to activate and just above 2 seconds to actually detonate. You can charge them for a maximum of 4 seconds to shoot them much faster than normal. It shoots 25% faster with an attack interval of 0.45 seconds in between shots, and it has a first reload speed of 1.09 seconds, with all consecutive reloads taking 0.67 seconds. Some things to note about the Scottish resistance: unlike the Stickybomb Launcher, right-clicking does not detonate all of your stickies. Instead, it detonates stickies near your crosshair and directly underneath your feet, meaning you can lay several traps and not have to worry about all of them being detonated at once. The explosion from the Scottish Resistance's bombs will destroy stickies instead of knocking them around as well, making it a good tool for defending or clearing out enemy sticky traps. Next up, we have the most statistically complicated weapon in the Demoman's arsenal. That's right, it's the Sticky Jumper. This orange safety cone sticky launcher loads 8 stickies at a time and stores a whopping 72 ammo in reserve. It can only have 2 stickies out, and the damage is where this weapon gets really complicated, so stick with me here. At maximum ramp up, the Sticky Jumper will deal 0 damage. At maximum fall off, it'll also deal 0 damage, and after the 5-second window of ramp up and fall off, it'll also be dealing 0 damage. It deals no splash damage whatsoever, and its function times are identical to the sticky launchers, having a 0.7 second activation time, and the ability to charge a single sticky for 4 seconds to increase its speed by up to 230%, as an attack interval of 0.6 seconds in between shots, a first reload speed of 1.09 seconds, with all consecutive reloads taking 0.67 seconds. This weapon is obviously meant for just jumping around, learning how to sticky jump, or maybe just getting more mobility without having to lower your health in the process. And now we've reached our final secondary weapon that's actually an active weapon, the Quickiebomb Launcher. This black, sleek Stickybomb Launcher only loads 4 shots and stores the normal 24 ammo in reserve, but it can still have 8 stickies out at a time. Damage-wise, this is probably the most interesting sticky launcher, because its uncharged stickies do 15% less damage than the normal Stickybomb Launchers, but by charging your shot, you can increase the damage by 35%. So first damage for an uncharged sticky has a maximum of 122 damage at its maximum ramp up, and a minimum damage of 51 at maximum fall off. After a sticky has been out for 5 seconds, it is immune to fall off or ramp up and deals 102 damage at the center of its explosion. Now if you charge your sticky completely, your damage is increased, meaning at maximum ramp up your sticky will deal about 156 damage at the center of its explosion, while at maximum fall off you can only hope to do a max of 69 damage. After 5 seconds, regardless of range, the Quickiebomb will deal around 130 damage. Critical hits and mini crits may not be affected by ramp up or fall off, but they are affected by charge time, with an uncharged crit dealing 302 damage, while a charged crit will deal around 395. For mini crits, an uncharged shot deals 138, while a fully charged mini crit deals a maximum of 186. Then we have the Quickiebomb splash damage, which is all the same as the Stickybomb Launchers, a 9.1 foot or 146 hammer unit explosion radius, with a 1% damage reduction per 2.92 hammer units away from the center of the explosion. If you are unlucky enough to be caught within your own explosion, or you're using it to sticky jump, you can take from 45 to 114 self damage depending on where you are in the explosion. And to wrap up our last sticky launcher, let's talk function times. To start, Quickiebombs have a 0.5 second activation time, which is the earliest the sticky can be primed, but the sticky itself takes an extra 0.135 seconds to actually detonate. You can charge a single sticky for 2 seconds to increase its speed by 230%, and it has an attack interval of 0.6 seconds in between shots, a first reload speed of 1.09 seconds, with all consecutive reloads taking 0.67 seconds. Now that we're done with the Stickybomb Launchers, we move on to the shield secondaries, starting it off with the classic Chargin Targe. This stylish antique wooden shield takes up your secondary slot, allowing you to charge at your enemies. If you crash into your enemy during your charge, you will deal impact damage to them, which increases the longer you charge for. If you start your charge right next to an enemy, you'll deal the minimum of 16 damage on impact. As you charge further, the damage scales up until after 0.9 seconds of charging, you gain the full shield bash damage of 50. Shield bashes can be mini crit boosted, but not full crit boosted. A short range charge while mini crit boosted will deal 21 damage, and its max damage will now be 68. Now if you have an Eyelander equipped, you increase your shield bash damage as you gain heads. For convenience sake, I'm just going to say the max damage that the shield will deal, and the other values will just be on the screen. At 1 head, your shield bash will deal 55 damage after the 0.9 second ramp up, 2 heads is 60 damage, 3 heads is 65, 4 heads 70, and finally, 5 heads gives you 75 damage shield bashes. By charging, you also power up your next melee attack depending on distance charged. A medium distance, 25% of the charge, results in a mini crit, while a longer distance, 60% or more of your charge, rewards you with a full critical hit. The shields grant passive bonuses as well, a 50% fire resistance on the wearer, along with a 30% resistance to explosives. On top of that, whenever you charge, you lose any debuffs you had on you, such as Afterburn, Bleeding, Girardi, or Milk. Finally, the shield only has one function time to worry about, and that's the recharge time, which is 12 seconds long until you get another charge. Moving along smoothly, our next item in our wide selection of medieval defensive secondaries is the Splendid Screen. This battered iron shield grants less defensive bonuses when compared to the Targe, but makes up for it in damage potential. The Splendid Screen deals 70% increased shield bash damage, so a point blank charge will deal 27 damage. After charging for 0.9 seconds, you reach a max damage with your shield, dealing 85 damage. Shields can be mini crit boosted, dealing 36 damage on point blank mini crit charges, and 115 damage on a full damage mini crit charge. While wielding a head-taking melee weapon like the Eyelander, the amount of heads you have increases the amount of damage your shield bashes will do. For convenience sake, I'm only going to be saying the max shield bash damage, while the mini crit values and the point blank values will be on screen. After gaining 1 head with a head-taking melee, your shield bash will deal 94 damage, 2 heads deals 102 damage, 3 heads brings you up to 111 damage, 4 heads is 119, and finally, at 5 heads, you can deal 128 damage on shield bashes after the 0.9 second damage ramp up. Like with the Chargin Targe, charging powers up your next melee attack depending on how long you charge. 25% of your charge grants a mini crit, and 60% of your charge guarantees you a critical hit. Passively, the Splendid Screen offers less protection than the Targe, only giving the wearer a 20% resistance to fire and explosions. It still removes debuffs on charge the same way the Chargin Targe does. Finally, the Splendid Screen takes 8 seconds to recharge its charge meter instead of the 12 seconds required by the Charging Targe. Last but certainly not least, we have one of the most interesting shields by far, the Tide Turner. This worn down ship's steering wheel allows for complete control while charging, meaning perfect turning, which can make for some seriously cool maneuvers. To talk about the shield's bashing damage, it's all the same as the Chargin Targes, dealing 16 damage at point blank and ramping up to 50 damage after 0.9 seconds of charging. The shield bash cannot be crit boosted, but can be mini crit boosted, taking our point blank damage up to 21 and the max ramp up to 68. If you're wielding a head gathering melee, i.e. the Eyelander, each head you gain increases the shield's bash damage. Like before, I will only be saying the charge's max ramp up damage, while the rest of the damage values will be presented on the screen. 1 head raises the damage to 55, 2 heads is 60, 3 heads is 65, 4 heads is 70, and 5 heads gives you 75 damage shield bashes. Like the other 2 shields, after 25% of your charge has been completed, your melee attacks will have a guaranteed mini crit. But unlike the other 2 shields, it cannot deal critical hits with melee weapons after 60% of your charge has been completed. This is your trade-off for maneuverability. Onto the passives, the Tide Turner has the lowest damage resistances of the 3 shields, sporting a 15% resistance to both fire and explosive. Melee kills made with this shield equipped refill 75% of your charge meter, making it pair well with the Booties are a melee weapon that also restores charge on kill. Finally, we have the function times. Surprise, surprise, all the values are the same as the Chargin Targe, requiring 12 seconds in between charges to recharge the charge. Charge. And now we finally reached it, the melee weapons. That's right, this is the final stretch. On screen right now, we have all the melee choices for the Demoman, and like before with the primaries and secondaries, timestamps are in the description for any particular weapon that you're looking for. Be it a melee weapon or maybe a weapon that you've missed in the primary or secondaries, just go down there and you'll find what you're looking for. Now there's not a huge amount of numbers associated with the melee weapons, and a lot of them share the same statistics, so this probably isn't going to be the longest part of the video, and we're just going to run them down real quick. Our first melee weapon is a fan favorite, the bottle. It's an empty brown glass bottle of Scrumpy that deals a mean 65 damage at close range, on critical hits deals 195 damage, and on mini crits it can deal 88 damage. It is an attack interval of 0.8 seconds, and that's all there really is to it. It's a pretty simple weapon. But then we go from simple to a melee weapon that causes all sorts of trouble when it came to speed and health values. That's the Eyelander, a large blood-stained, battle-worn claymore haunted by a malevolent spirit. Its damage is identical to the bottle's, dealing 65 damage on a normal hit, 195 damage on a crit, and 88 damage on a mini crit. For every kill you gain with the Eyelander, you gain 25 max health and an 8% increase to your max speed. Both of these cap out after 4 heads. The Eyelander also has a 37% longer range than your average melee weapon, but takes a full second to draw or holster. Its attack interval is the same as the bottle's, with 0.8 seconds in between attacks. And one additional thing to note about this sword is that killing another Demoman who already has heads will take his heads along with an extra one from the Demoman himself. This also means you can steal the stored kills from the Bizarre Bargain and the Airstrike as well. And now it's time to get on the pain train. Toot toot! This split piece of wood with a nail on the end is identical to the bottle in damage and attack intervals, dealing 65 damage per hit, 195 damage on a crit, 88 damage on mini crits, and has a 0.8 second attack interval. Its advantage is making the Demoman count as 2 players while capping instead of just 1, in exchange for a 10% bullet vulnerability, making this a good choice for a Demoman who's not expecting to be taking a whole lot of bullet damage, but needs to be capping some points. Then we have one of the coolest looking demo melees in the game, the Scotsman Skullcutter. This bloody double-bladed axe deals 20% more damage than your average melee weapon, on hit dealing 78 damage, with a critical hit dealing 234 damage, which is enough to kill 8 of the 9 classes in the game, and on mini crits it deals 105 damage. The Skullcutter only has one other main effect, lowering the movement speed when drawn by 15%. Finally, it shares the attack interval of the bottle with 0.8 seconds in between attacks, and it also shares the 1 second draw and holster time with the Eyelander, while most other weapons in the game only take half a second to switch. And now we have the Cladmore, an augmented Zweihander that deals damage similar to the bottle, 65 base damage, 195 damage on crits, and 88 damage mini crits. Its special effect grants you 25 health on kill, and also restores 25% of your charge meter on kill as well. It also has a 15% damage vulnerability on its wielder when drawn. Like the other swords, it also has a 37% greater range when compared to other melee weapons, and function time wise, it's the same as the bottle with a 0.8 second attack interval, and just like with the Eyelander, a 1 second draw holster time. This next melee weapon has a real kick to it, but generally falls flat. That's right, it's the Ullapool Caber. This World War II German grenade deals slightly less damage than your average melee weapon, only dealing 55 damage on hit, 165 damage on a crit, and 74 on a mini crit, but its real power comes from its explosion. The first melee hit you get with this weapon will also cause an explosion that can deal up to 75 explosive damage to the target, which if crit boosted results in a 225 damage explosion, or if mini crit boosted, your explosion will be dealing 111 damage. This explosion, like every other explosion in the game, has a splash radius. Its explosion radius is pretty small, only 6.4 feet or 102 hammer units, so you can't really be hoping to hit anyone other than your melee target unless there's a large group of enemies very close to each other. You will also take 52 to 56 self damage from the explosion and be sent flying upwards, and probably be taking fall damage as well, dummy. The main point of the explosion, combined with the melee hit, is that you get one really powerful hit dealing just above 125 damage, which is enough to kill light classes. Unfortunately, you only get one hit before you have to return to a resupply locker to refill your grenade. The Caber swings 20% slower than your normal melee weapon, with an attack interval of 0.96 seconds, and it will take a full second to deploy, meaning you'll have to commit to swinging this thing. Our next melee weapon was folded over 1,000 times. That's right, it's the Half-Zatoichi. This samurai's katana may deal damage similar to the stocks, 65 base damage, 195 damage on a crit, and 88 damage mini crits, but it makes its wielder hold to a code of honor, not allowing them to sheath it until they gain a kill with it, or instead sacrifice 50 health and live with the shame. Gaining a kill with the sword heals the player for 50% of their base health, meaning a booty Demoman with 200 health would be healed for 100, which, unlike most non-minigun healing items, can actually overheal the player. Along with this, it also has a 37% increased range like the other swords, and function time wise, the sword is nothing special, with a 0.8 second attack interval and a 1 second draw and holster time. And now to round out the whole video, we have my personal favorite Demo Knight weapon, the Persian Persuader. This brass tilted scimitar deals, surprise surprise, the same damage as the bottle, 65 damage on a normal hit, 195 damage on crits, and 88 damage mini crits. But like the other Demonite weapons, it's the special abilities that make it unique. When your charge is recharging, picking up ammo will refill some of your charge meter instead of refilling ammo. Along with that, every hit you land refills 20% of your charge meter as well. Unfortunately, this weapon does have some tough downsides. An 80% reduction to primary and secondary ammo, combined with ammo packs only giving you ammo when your charge meter is full, is pretty rough if you want to use it with a grenade launcher or sticky launcher. As a side note, it also has a 37% longer range like the other swords. Finally, our final function time. It sports the bottle's 0.8 second interval in between attacks, and the sword's a longer deploy and holster time of 1 second. And just like that, we've reached the end of the video. I want to say thank you to anyone who has stuck through this whole video. You're a champ. Some people may be wondering why I've skipped over the pyro, and it's really due to the uncertainty of the pyro update. So as soon as that comes out, I'll begin working on the pyro, but until then, I'll be looking towards the heavy. Once again, I want to say thank you to anyone who watched through this video. I hope that you've learned something you may not have known before, and if you've enjoyed it, consider sticking around for a while. You may like some of the other things I do on this channel as well, but with that, I hope you have a great day, and peace out.